It starts small. Your dog won't leave your side. They press their nose against your leg. They follow you from room to room. They stare at you with an intensity that feels almost uncomfortable. Most people think it's just separation anxiety. Maybe they're bored. Maybe they want to walk. But veterinary researchers, oncologists, and neurobiologists have been quietly documenting something that should change the way you look at your dog completely. Your dog may have known something was wrong with your body before any doctor did. And they were trying to tell you. Let's start with what sounds like a coincidence, because that's what everyone assumes it is at first. In 2004, a British medical journal published a letter from dermatologist Armand Cognetta. His patient's dog had spent months obsessively sniffing a mole on the patient's leg, nudging it, returning to it again and again. The mole looked completely normal to the naked eye. It was malignant melanoma, stage 1, caught early enough to save her life. The dog had no training, no reward system. No one had told it what to look for. It just knew. Cognita didn't publish this as a curiosity. He used it to launch one of the first formal studies into canine cancer detection, and what his team found opened a door that medical science is still walking through today. Here's what's actually happening inside your body when something goes wrong. Every cell in your body produces volatile organic compounds, tiny chemical molecules that evaporate off your skin, your breath, your sweat. When cells malfunction, when they become cancerous or infected or begin to die, their metabolic processes change. The chemical compounds they release change too. These changes are infinitesimally small, far below the threshold of any instrument we built for the first 100 years of modern medicine, but not below the threshold of a dog's nose. A dog has roughly 300 million olfactory receptors. Humans have 6 million. Their brain dedicates 40 times more neural real estate to processing smell than ours does. Dogs can detect a single drop of a substance diluted into an Olympic swimming pool's worth of water. They don't smell what you smell. They smell in you. This isn't theory anymore. The evidence is staggering. In 2011, researchers at the Pine Street Foundation in California trained ordinary household dogs, not specialist animals, not breeds selected for scenting ability, to distinguish between breath samples from lung cancer patients and healthy controls. The dogs achieved 99% sensitivity and 99% specificity. To put that in perspective, the most advanced lung cancer screening technology at the time had a false negative rate above 20%. Dogs beat it decisively with their noses. The University of Pennsylvania's Working Dog Center later replicated the findings with ovarian cancer, one of the hardest cancers to detect early. Dogs identified positive samples with 90% accuracy from blood serum alone. In the UK, a charity called Medical Detection Dogs has now trained animals to detect prostate cancer from urine samples with over 93% accuracy, outperforming the standard PSA blood test that doctors have used for decades. Bladder cancer, colorectal cancer, breast cancer, Parkinson's disease. The list grows every year. And here's the part that nobody talks about. Your dog at home, untrained, with no idea what cancer is, may be responding to the same chemical signals. They just don't know what to do with what they're detecting. So they do the only thing they can. They stay close. They smell you more. They won't leave your side. But it goes deeper than cancer. In 2019, a team at the University of Belfast published research showing that dogs can detect the specific biochemical signature of low blood sugar in diabetic patients from breath alone before the patient feels any symptoms themselves. The average detection time was 22 minutes before the hypoglycemic episode became medically apparent. 22 minutes of warning from a nose pressed against a sleeve. Dogs have also been documented detecting epileptic seizures before they occur, sometimes up to 45 minutes in advance. Researchers initially assumed they were responding to subtle motor cues, tiny tremors invisible to human observers. But they ran a test. They exposed trained dogs to scent samples collected during seizures versus samples collected at neutral times. The dogs identified seizure samples with 95% accuracy from scent alone. There are no visible tremors in a scent sample. The dog was detecting a chemical change that precedes the neurological event. Think about what that means. Your brain begins changing chemistry before you know something is wrong. Your dog smells it happening. Now here's where it gets unsettling in the best possible way. There are hundreds, not dozens, hundreds, documented cases of dogs behaving strangely around owners who were later diagnosed with serious conditions. These aren't all cancer, they're cardiac events, strokes, autoimmune crises, neurological deterioration. A woman in Oregon reported that her golden retriever began waking her at 3 a.m. by pawing her chest, persistently. For 2 weeks, her husband found it annoying. She mentioned it to her doctor almost as a joke. Her doctor ordered an ECG. She had an undetected arrhythmia that put her at significant risk of sudden cardiac arrest. A man in Australia reported his border collie began pressing his head against the man's abdomen, only on the left side, and refusing to move away. He had no pain, no symptoms. He had a splenic tumor, found only because he told his doctor about the dog. These are not statistically ignorable anecdotes anymore. They're a pattern, and that pattern has a biological explanation. But there's a dimension to this that science is only beginning to understand. It's not just chemistry. Dogs read your body in ways we're only now mapping. A 2023 study from Queen Mary University of London found that dogs can distinguish between 17 different human emotional states based on facial expression, body posture, and voice tone, more categories than most humans consciously differentiate. They don't just see that you're sad. They may distinguish between grief and fear and pain and exhaustion in ways you haven't even named for yourself yet. And research from the University of Vienna has shown that dogs track gaze with the same level of sophistication as human infants, monitoring where your eyes move, what you look at, how long you look. They build a model of your attention, your mental state. When something changes in that model, when you move differently, breathe differently, sit when you'd normally stand, avoid the stairs you usually take, your dog notices immediately. They don't know why you've changed, but they know that you have. And their response, hardwired across 15,000 years of evolution, is to get closer, to monitor, to stay between you and whatever threat they can't identify but can clearly sense. Here's something nobody prepares you for. There is documented, replicated evidence that dogs know when a person is close to death. Not from cancer, not from injury, from the natural end of life. Hospice workers across the United States, the UK, and Australia have reported in multiple published nursing journals that dogs in hospice facilities reliably begin spending time with specific patients 12 to 24 hours before death, patients who were not showing obvious external deterioration, patients other staff hadn't flagged. The most famous is Oscar, a cat at a Rhode Island care facility. But less discussed are the dozens of family dogs who behaved identically, who wouldn't leave a room, who lay with their heads on a lap that had never been a favorite spot before. Researchers believe they are detecting the specific biochemical cascade that accompanies the dying process. Compounds released during cellular breakdown, changes in ketone levels, hormonal shifts that accompany organ failure. Your dog may not understand death, but they understand that your body is changing in a way that has never happened before, and they won't leave. So what does this mean for you right now, with the dog sleeping at your feet? It means that when your dog's behavior changes, really changes around you, it may be worth paying attention. Not every behavior change signals illness. Dogs are creatures of habit, and they respond to dozens of environmental variables. A new schedule, a new person, seasonal mood shifts in their owner. But there are specific patterns that veterinary behaviorists and medical researchers have flagged as worth noting. If your dog begins obsessively sniffing a specific area of your body, returning to the same spot, not playfully but with focus, mention it to your doctor. Not because your dog has definitely detected something, but because early-stage conditions are found in exactly this way, and the cost of a conversation is zero. If your dog begins waking you at unusual times with persistent, urgent behavior, not a bathroom request, not noise from outside, but fixated on you, take it seriously. If a dog that has never been a lap dog or a shadow suddenly becomes one, pressing close to you with unusual intensity, note it. Write down when it started. If it persists for more than a few days, see your GP. These are not guarantees. Dogs give false positives. They respond to human anxiety, which itself creates biochemical changes. They have their own emotional needs that look like vigilance. But they have also found things no instrument found first. And if you have an older dog, the same applies in reverse. Research from the University of California found that owners, not doctors, most commonly first detect cancer in their pets, Through behavior changes, physical investigation, noticing something different, you know your dog. You will notice before the vet does. This relationship is bi-directional. You read each other. You always have. 15,000 years ago, we started sharing fires with wolves. We shared our food. Eventually, we shared our shelters, our beds, our children. And somewhere in that long history, a bond formed that has no equivalent in the animal world. A wolf that became something different, an animal that chose to look at human faces and read them, that evolved specifically to care whether you were okay. Your dog stares at you because they are looking for information, processing your face, your breath, your posture, the chemicals your skin releases into the air. They are constantly asking, "Are you okay?" Most of the time, the answer is yes, and they settle beside you and they sleep. But sometimes they don't settle, sometimes they don't stop watching. And maybe if that happens, the most loving thing you can do is listen. If this changed the way you look at your dogs, hit that like button and subscribe right now. We're on a mission to decode the hidden language of our pets, and you will not want to miss our next deep dive into the secret life of animals. See you in the next one.